Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Whole Woman. I'm your hostess, Sanika. And on the Whole Woman podcast, we talk about every single thing under the sun. Because here on The Whole Woman, we're addressing the matters of the mind, body, and soul so we can bloom and learn to become whole. And today, I don't even have a poem piece for this one. I don't have an opening per se. I don't have that structure because this topic is something that has shown up in my life in so many ways, in so many areas. And I just really wanted to know, am I the only one experiencing this? And I just wanted to talk about it because what's going on here? And this topic, it sounds very research paper. It sounds psychological. It sounds extreme. It sounds like I had to go to Google a few times. I had to really sit and think about what I was saying before I came on here. And this topic, it is called emotional suppression versus passion and aggression. And I'm going to repeat emotional suppression versus passion and aggression. And as I stated, no point piece. We're just going to dive right into this. Okay. So very quickly, we're going to just touch on the three the three words that I just mentioned, or the three feelings or expressions or whatnot. So the first one is emotional suppression. So when you think emotional suppression, it has to do with hiding your true feelings. You're not showing others around you what it is that you're actually going through. You're brushing it aside. Something ticks you, somebody rubs you the wrong way. You're keeping it to yourself. You're laughing it off. You're keeping it inside because oftentimes people want to see someone who's cool, calm, and collected. And there's also cases where you, on a whole, you're the type of person, you're naive. You don't believe that somebody just deliberately passed you three times and bounced your shoulder. Like they did not just do that deliberately. It was a mistake, it was an accident. It might seem more than a coincidence, but you're refusing to believe that because you're not a confrontational person, and you're a soft girl, like, or a guy who likes to just keep it in. Like you're not someone who wants to do all of the commotion and all of the battles and to feel tension and all of that. That's not you. And so as a result, you keep it to yourself. Now, the thing about emotional suppression is that over time, it catches up on you. Sometimes you actually end up in a position where you become hated or you become overlooked because people are like, oh, we never know what she's thinking. Or, this person over here, they're dead inside. They are not somebody you can chill with. I mean, they work with everything, but you're not sure how far you can go with them. And even for yourself, as the person who's quote unquote emotionally suppressed, oftentimes you're feeling unrelaxed because you're not in tune with your true feelings. Because whether it be anger, whether it be joy, whether it be sadness, whether it be, I don't know, excitement, whatever emotion, it's important that we know how to express these feelings and not necessarily always keep them inside. So over time, that excessive buildup, that holding it in as a way to play it off, to play it tough, it kind of gets the better of you. And people know, like, you have on the other side of the spectrum people who are passionate, people who are honest, people who aren't afraid to say what is on their mind, or more so people who, when they say what is on their mind, they hold the attention of others either positively or negatively. Sometimes people are like, wow, she says that with so much life. But then again, on the other side, you have people who are like, that's too much. You're too much. You are team too much right now. And people, that's me. That's me right there. Team too much. Like when you don't talk, nobody knows what to expect. But when you speak, they're like, this is how you were all along. Like the energy, the life, the hand movements, the head nods, the blinking, like, you're just giving life in the way how you express yourself, in the things that you care about. And in all honesty, it's not necessarily a case where it's not always a result of the emotional suppression that I spoke about. You are just a passionate person. You are just somebody who goes the extra mile, or more so someone who knows how to present themselves, especially when it's something that you care about. And I feel that oftentimes, even for someone like me, like, I will literally, there's few things that I care about in this life. Like, I'm not the type of person that gets easily excited about certain factors. However, in cases where I'm expressing like how I feel, like, I will literally be like, I felt offended by you saying that, or I'm not sure if you understand the point I'm trying to create. And as a result, oftentimes people are like, why are you angry? And I'm like, I was never angry. I was never angry. But I also want to say, and this is something that I'm going to also highlight later on, is that sometimes good communicators are often mistaken as being too passionate. Persons who have a way with words, persons who are eloquent, who can really and truly just command the English language, or command, I don't want to say English language because that's a bit too boxed in, but people who can really and truly say what it is that you're going through, express with life, with vibrancy, how they feel about a particular situation in a good way. They're oftentimes mistaken as being passionate because they know the words to use, they know the hand movements, they know about the verbal and the non-verbal cues, and people are like, girl, the attitude. So it's not even that they are a cut above the rest in terms of how they do the hand movements, how they do the expressions. They're just excellent communicators. And sometimes people think you're too passionate, but really no, they're just in order. Like, they're doing what other persons similar to them, similar to their own selves, would have done. Like, they're probably just in the wrong space, talking to the wrong people. And therefore, because you don't know how to communicate, or you don't understand certain aspects of communication, you're offended and you think, girl, go ahead and sit down. Like, I don't need to hear this because you're doing too much right now. So, yes, I've been there, done that, still doing it, unfortunately, in friendships, relationships, workships, like so many ships, and they're all sinking. I mean, not always, but I've seen it happen before. Then, no, oftentimes, when it comes down to suppression, being emotionally suppressed, after the build up, you become aggressive. No, this aggression can either be passive, or it can be something that is out loud, like it's explosive, like the world is hearing about it. People are like, who is that? Like, I do not know this person. And I just want to say as well that passive aggression, like, passive aggression is oftentimes like the silent treatment, oftentimes the snubs, the snide remarks, and you're like, this person really hates me. Like, I'm not going to lie. I have been someone who has wielded, I almost said yielded after I'm bragging about good communication, but it's someone who has wielded. I'm someone who has wielded, sorry, passive aggression before, because I've always, like, as long as I've known myself, I've always been the type of person who wants to fly under the radar in terms of how I communicate, in terms of expressing how I feel. If someone does something to me, I refuse to believe that they just did it to me. Like, I will have signs, I will see every single um thing that probably not necessarily raises a red flag, but tells me to be cautious. And I'm like, no, like, I'm in denial. I'm naive. I refuse to believe that you're out to get me, that you're out to harm me. And I also know for a fact that because we as human beings are so fallible, I'm saying to myself, it's a one time thing. It won't happen again. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to ignore it, and I'll move on. So there I am giving grace. And before you know it, it's either I explode to the point people are like, I never knew you felt like this. Or it oftentimes result in like a good enough, like a mature conversation, a mature type of confront. Well, no, not mature, an immature type of confrontation. So you're confronting the person, you're telling them, I'm so upset about this, I'm pissed off. And there's passive or non-passive, they're still shocked because you never expressed this type of emotion before. And the whole essence really of this topic today is to talk about how oftentimes people, especially humans that are not, I don't want to say on your level because everyone is different, but I've seen it time and time again. You will literally be giving your best, giving your all in a good relationship. And when I say relationships, and I've said it before and I said it again, I'm not necessarily talking about love. I mean relationships on a whole. For someone, remember, I confessed I used to be a people pleaser. Did I confess on the podcast, or did I confess on my blog? I'm not sure, but I used to be a people pleaser. So being a people pleaser, you're all about ensuring that people see the good side. Like, you're not here to be angry, you're not here to say things that get you upset. You want everyone to be smiling and happy. You want the rainbows, the sunshines, and the sprinkles. I've always said this. I'm a rainbow, sunshine, and sprinkles kind of girl. Like, no matter what's happening in life, I want to ensure that you're well complimented, you're well taken care of. I'm available. Remember, we're going to Mars, as I said before. And the type of person, if you're going to Mars, girl, I might just come with you because that's how I know that's how I show love, right? Show love with the words and with the time and the attention and whatnot. So, therefore, in most cases, I'm not going to tell you that because last week when I asked you um if you were going to come to, let's say I'm at a concert. I'm playing at a concert. I'm not a musician, people. This is just hypothetically speaking. I'm playing at a concert and I said to you, come to my concert. And you said, of course I'm coming to the concert. And no, you canceled. And you canceled for the concert. And the way how you cancel is the day of the concert. And people, I just want to say, as I say that, it just brought me back to so many birthday disappointments. Like, I just celebrated a birthday, and this year I feel different in terms of how people react or how people respond to the birthday. But I remember years prior, people would just cancel left, right, and center on me for my birthdays. And oftentimes, there were times when I reacted, and there were times that I let it slide. And I never won, and I'm going to get into that shortly. But let's continue with the scenario. So you canceled for the concert, and it was a very important. Like, you promised you would be there. Perhaps you were the one who even suggested that you would come to support me. You canceled on the day of the event. Guess what? If you apologize to me, and if you actually said to me it was not intentional, guess who is going to accept it with with no ill, no negativity? Me, Sanika. And guess what's going to happen? Like 2 months down the line, the same thing is going to happen with the same excuse. And I'm going to try to find a way to understand your POV. I'm going to say, okay, I know that you have a lot to do. I know that you're working. So I get it. I'm going to find excuses because I refuse to believe that you, who suggested that this is something you want to support me in, you're actually not showing up, because there must be a reason. Like, you're not intentionally out. Well, I can't say out to get me because this is not a, oh, you're gonna get me situation, but I refuse to believe that you're not really rocking with me like I've rocked with you. And people, I just want to emphasize, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, in life, in a relationship, it is not about tit for tat. A relationship takes two people who are on board, hoping to achieve a similar goal, are hoping to get to a similar destination. Whether the destination is marriage, whether it is continuity, whether it is just peace. Like, you're on the same page. You're different people, but you're on the same page. You understand what it takes to make things work. You're not the one finessing, financing, giving all the love, and the other person gives you nothing. And I'm not talking about monetary, I'm not talking about even physicalities, but it's just common. It's just human. It's common sense. It's human nature. Like, you should be open to reciprocating. So, with that being said, there I am. I've always been, I've always, as I said, people remember, I have the characteristics of the favorite girl, and yes, I'm going to name drop all of the previous episodes in my future podcast. So, as I stated in the title, the episode, the favorite girl, right? I've always done what's right. And it's not because I'm trying to even fit a type of character. That's just who I am. Like, I understand the importance of relationships. I understand the importance of friendships. And therefore, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Not realizing that many people oftentimes around me, they don't view life the same. So there I am doing what I'm supposed to do, going through life, blah blah blah. I'm being the supportive person, and then a time comes when the person says, I can't do the same for you. Understandable. And they do it again and again and again and again. And before you know it, you're the only one pouring in. And eventually, you start to realize this is not how you want to live. As a result of that realization, sometimes the outburst is not necessarily one that is acceptable in terms of, let's say, this is the 10th concert and it might be the biggest one, and the person, as per usual, cancels. But because in between the cancellations, you've always lived a normal life, you've always still done other activities together, you finally decide enough is enough. This is your passion, this is your livelihood, this is what you care about. And if someone loves you, you would at least like for them to support you. And you decide, I can't work with this. Like, how can you be my support, my friend, and you're not supporting me in something that is literally going to either make or break me, or something that other people, I've seen other people appreciate it and you retaliate. You're telling them you can't do it anymore. Or you're just having like emotional outburst about the situation, and it rubs the other person the wrong way. And people, I would love to tell you that your friend is going to change. I would love to say, as a result of what you doing the outburst, as a result of the aggression, because in this case it's aggression. After the suppression, no, you have become aggressive. I would love to tell you that your friend is understanding everything that you're saying and everything that you're coming from. But instead, you know what happens? They hate you. Like, they are now looking at you with brand new eyes. They're now telling other people in your circle that you are angry, you can't be dealt with, you're irrational because of something they failed to do. No, I just want to emphasize as well, I just use that concert as a basic illustration, but it can be anything. You will literally go through this live bending over, and I said it before and I'll say it again. Nobody asked you to do it, but that's what you did. And you thought that the person that you were in their corner, you thought that the feeling was mutual, or more so, even if the feeling wasn't necessarily mutual, you at least thought that you could count on the support in one way or the other. And it turns out that you have been the giver all of your life and you have never received. And because you finally got some sense, instead of this person saying to you, okay, I get it, you know what they're going to do? They're going to either react in a way that you did not know was possible, avoid you, or they're going to retaliate even worse. And I had this incident, right, where always thought that I was a fairly good friend, a fairly good, as I stated, a fairly good complimenter, a fairly good supporter, always being like, you good. I thought we had a good bond. I thought that things were, for the most part, it was a seemingly good relationship. And I realized there is a strong possibility I might be delusional. Because what? Let me tell you what happens though. And I'm not delusional. I know exactly what happens. Like, in life, I feel, as I stated, as you grow older and as you become exposed, you realize certain things. You realize even your own icks, your own faults. Like, so there I am. And I've realized that this person, they have certain traits about them. They'll make certain remarks. They'll be, they're the type of person to be like, that type of shoe. I don't like that shoe. No, people, I just want to say I'm the type of girl. I will never see a female and tell her I hate her hair. I'll never be the type of female to see a girl wearing a particular type of dress and be like, that dress is ugly. That's not me. I don't care about those things because the reality is, I feel like remember, I'm a words girl. I'm a wordy kind of girl. I feel like words are powerful. So I'd rather compliment you on something that stands out in a positive way than to bring you down and be like, I hate your shoes. Like, even if it's not my style, if I don't have something good to say about such a thing, like, I'm just not going to compliment, I'm just not going to comment on it. This person, however, feels that being blunt requires for them to, you know, tell you like it is. Like, I don't like your hair, I don't like the shoes, I don't like, they're that type of person. So has always been incidents like that, and I'm always taken aback because I'm like, why are you telling me that? Like, we're not having a conversation about shoes, we're not having a conversation about hair. Why are you telling me what you don't like versus what you like? Like, I didn't ask. And I personally, I think it is rude because I'm more than just my physical appearance. And not to say that it's always a case where they're pinpointing, how I look on the outside, but there has been like a few outbursts where the person is like, oh, I don't like this, or why are you doing this, or commenting on things. Like, for example, other people will do something, and as soon as I do it, they have something to say about it. But I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is really how they are. So, with that being said, no, the incident happens where in which the person, I'm realizing, starts to kind of distance themselves. They have reacted to either an outburst of mine or a reaction of mine, and they decided they're going to avoid me. And I'm like, why would you do that? I thought that we were sissies. I thought we were sissy poos. Like, what's happening here? And because I always say, when it comes down to valuing friendships, relationships, I'm going to approach the person. So I approach the person, and they're going to tell me that it's not the first, not the second, but they've realized that I have a tendency nowadays, or as of recent, to react in a way that is almost disrespectful. And no, people, to me, when it comes down to certain words, when it comes down to certain terminologies, because I love to read, I love to research, I love to use words, I love to taste words. Words are powerful. So when you say words like disrespect, when you say words like hate, when you say certain things to me, I'm like, that is very serious. No, I would have reacted in a way to say, I have never had a moment where I have displayed any sort of aggression, or I've never intended to be quote unquote aggressive. This is just how I communicate. This is just me expressing myself on a whole. I thought that you knew this. Like, I've never directly offended you. I've never said anything out of my mouth that would be classically deemed as disrespectful. So I'm not sure why is it that. And I say, give me an example, because I'm not going to dismiss your feelings and say that it isn't true, but let me know so that for future reference I can do better. But I just want to say to you as well that, on a whole, whenever I'm speaking about certain topics, especially if I care about it, that I tend to be overly expressive. I do use hyperboles. I'm a poet girl, like, but I'm not trying to harm anyone. That's just me. They can't name any examples, they can't name any incidents, but they can name the incident that resulted in them basically blocking me. And I'm like, now I know, because it's not the first time, it's not the third time, it's happened before. And you're probably thinking, if it's happened before, then maybe you are the problem. Let me just say, I have thought about that. I've said to myself, what if you really are the aggressor? What if you really are this angry person that people are saying, that people are making you out to be? And I'm not going to come here and be like, oh, I've never been angry before, oh, I've never had outbursts that are misplaced before. Like, I'm not going to say that. However, I feel as if, and this is me really assessing certain situations. When it is that you're in circles, when it is that you're around people who don't necessarily have the same communication style as yourself, or people who don't necessarily understand how to have how to have not conversations, how to have individuality, it oftentimes poses an issue when it is that they see like stronger personalities. And I say this because I've always been the type of person in situations, in settings where people always perceive me. I don't know if I've said that before. I'm always easily perceived. People will literally be like, "Oh, I always thought you were a soft, sweet, cuddly girl. I never knew that you had like a personality. I never knew that you knew how to speak. I never knew that this was how you viewed life. Like, I never knew that there was so much depth to you." People have literally said to me, "Oh, I thought that you were dumb. Oh, I thought that you were someone who couldn't stand up for themselves." People are always saying that to me. And I just want to highlight as well, I'm 5 feet one. So I'm small, I'm petite. So, and I look very young. Like I've always looked younger than my actual age. So there I am, 5 feet one. I look like someone you can probably toss around, throw in the box, stamp on a bit. And for a moment, as I stated, because I'm not someone who's confrontational, I will allow people to take certain liberties because of how I express love. So they're there and they're feeling me out. They're realizing that, oh, she's so precious. She'll do this, but that's just not me. I take a time before I can actually warm up to people. I'm not faking it, I'm not hiding it, but I've always been reserved when it comes on to showing who I am, like really showing my personality. I'm not somebody that is easily known, right? But in the same breath, easily known or not, why is it that people always want to take advantage of someone who seems smaller than them, right? I'm always in the position where people always want to say the offensive things. You're talking about, as I mentioned, what somebody is wearing, how somebody is saying things. You're perceiving me already simply because I'm standing out by simply not fitting in. Because in most cases, like, I'm the shortest girl around. In most cases, as I stated, I look very, like, I'm always in positions, in situations where I'm highlighted, willingly or unwillingly. So, as I mentioned, there I am, and I'm going through. They've already construed in their mind who I am. And people, let me just say, oftentimes what people think about me is never what they get when they start to realize the true me. Like, I'm not what you expected. I'm not someone who's easily defined. I am not the type of girl that you would come across on a regular day. That's just not me. That has never been me. I have been through I've been through too many experiences to have like a one a one track mind, or like a personality that is easily discovered. Like, I'm multifaceted, and I'm not seeing it to even try to make myself seem bigger, but it's something that I know for a fact. I've always had a strong personality. I've always been someone who's tried their very best to be outspoken, whether it be verbally, whether it be written. Like, I've always been someone all about expression, all about just saying to people, this is what I stand for, this is what I don't stand for. So when people start to come to that realization that you are not going to be in the clique, I would rather walk alone than be in the clique. Even though I have been in cliques, but I'm just saying, I've gone through phases of life, through friendships, where if I'm not fitting in, quote unquote, I'm going to walk alone, and I'm going to do it with pride, and not the bad pride, but I'm doing it with my head held high. So when people realize that I can't necessarily be molded to what they're used to, best believe it becomes a problem. All of a sudden, the things that I say are offensive. All of a sudden, the things that I say are it's too angry. All of a sudden, because of the fact that I can do more than one things, I'm extra. Like, it's always something, especially when it comes on to like a group of females, like when it comes on to female settings, you oftentimes find yourself having to be on the defense, because of how easily they try to offend you. And if it is that you're always retaliating, or if it is that you're always with your hands up ready to say, no, this is not what I stand for, this is not what I defend, you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what happens to me. People are going to tell you that you standing up for yourself, you talking with a bit of bass in your voice, you telling people this is not what I stand for, will cause people to take offense, to show their true colors, to walk away from what you thought seemed beneficial as a relationship, but really and truly you were the only provider. Like, it was not a relationship, it wasn't platonic, no, it wasn't evil, it wasn't equal. Like, you will realize that people, when it is that they see how old you can be, or how unafraid it is that you are to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. That's a piece of the matter. But really and truly, when people start to realize that you are more than meets the eye, because I've heard it so many times. Like, what I'm saying now, I would love to tell you that this is just speculation. But if I could get money for how many times people say this is not what they expected, you would be surprised. I would be rich. I would not have to work. Every time I come across people that tend to try to be in relationships, whether it be friendships, whether it be the othership, most times they are surprised. They're like, I never knew this was you. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there aren't good people on my side. I'm not saying that I have not met good people, but it's rare. It's oftentimes people who can communicate well enough, who have a good control of their emotion, and who have actually taken the time out to understand that you might not necessarily be like everyone else, but I understand. I understand the genuinity. I understand you as a person. Like, this is just you. And not everybody is going to do that, and that's totally fine. But my my wish to everyone who has ever felt as if their passion was mistaken for aggression, their communicative skills were seen as a way to be rude, even their need for peace was basically misplaced. Like, all of those people affected by the three terminologies that I that um encompasses the topic. Persons who have literally felt out of place, misplaced, just this is not your place. Like, it's not your place, girl. Like, I understand. But who will ride for you will ride for you. People who are sure of themselves, people who have already come to the understanding of themselves, not necessarily with strong personalities with like yourself, because oftentimes a strong personality will clash with another strong personality. A strong personality, like you'll see, like leaders are oftentimes leading people who don't have the same persona like themselves. Because people, I'm hardly, when I say I'm hardly angry, like, I'm hardly ever angry. Oftentimes I'm not even, I don't want to say I'm not even, I don't want to say I'm oblivious, but I rarely ever let the things that get to me are things I don't speak about. So it can be a bit disarming when you're trying to form bonds, you're trying to form relationships, and because of how you speak, because of how you address certain topics, people are like, you angry girl. Like, even relationships that you once cherished, you realize because you're no longer putting into them and you're seeing this is not fair. This is not right. The people are turning away. The people are turning a blind eye and walking away, and you're not hearing from them. They're just living their lives. So, guess what you have to do? As I said in Favorite Girl, you just have to choose yourself. You just have to choose yourself and choose the people who choose you. Like, everyone is different. Stop making people feel as if because you don't sound like them, your tonality and people don't even understand things like that. And this is why I have learned in life to set boundaries. Like, I'm learning so much that I need to set boundaries in so many aspects. People won't always appreciate you on a whole as a person, and that's just that. But for those that do, like, keep rocking with them. And just remember that ultimately, being genuine or the integrity as to who you are as a person is something that you should be proud of. Not proud in the sense that you're gonna be like, I can twang and I can do this and I can do that. But when it is that you have an idea of the person that you are, when it is that you know the things that you value and the things that you won't do, and when it is that you are sure that your assertiveness is not coming from a place of negativity, just con- just continue to be you. Because when it is that you're the same personality or the same person that you are, when it is that it benefited the other persons, the same persons attacking you now, they did not consider you. It was actually a case where you, because of your selflessness, and this is something that I've realized, oftentimes you're suppressing your emotions to please people. When it is that you laid yourself aside and you try to accommodate others to make them feel good about their own selves, or to come to that mutual, I don't it's not even mutual, because as I stated, it's irregular, it's unbalanced, but just to ensure that they were not unsettled, it took more from you than it actually took from them, because you created now a type of persona for them that fit one type of box, like it fit like a set shape. And when it is that you have decided, okay, no, the coast is clear, it's time for me to unleash my true self, the same person that you try to accommodate is now kicking you out on the streets. Be you, be yourself, be authentic, irrespective, like be respectful and all of that, but irrespective of who doesn't like the authenticity that you bring, remember that it's it's easier to be your true self and walk alone than to be amongst people who will never see you for who you are, who will never truly appreciate you for who you are, and that will just continue to belittle you, judge you, tell lies on you. Like, it's not worth it. So, with that being said, for this episode, we're no longer suppressing our emotions. I mean, we're not going to cry every time something is touching us. We're not always going to get up at every time someone tells us to jump off, jump off the cliff into Rick's Cafe. I don't know. And we're not always going to get up and make random outbursts. But don't try to dilute yourself for people who, even if you're diluted, even if you're whole, they're still gonna have a problem. So until next time, this is the Whole Woman Podcast. And I am your hostess with the mostest, Sanika. Follow me on all platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Until next episode. Bye bye.